Aloha and welcome to Marriage on the Spot. We're your co-hosts, Kent and Elizabeth Kitagawa. And we get a lot of, we find a lot of material online and,
and in books.
And in books, yes. And we, that's really what we want to do in this. In our show here is to share resources for couples, for marriages, because there's so many assaults on marriages, and there's so many stresses on families today. And so, how can we thrive?
Yeah, one man, I forgot his name. He mentioned something. If I would know everything now, which now what I should have known when I first got married, I would not be a divorced man now.
Mm-hmm.
And we think sometimes about that a little bit too late. We're going pretty soon to a wedding where both of them get married for the second time, and we were asked to do share a little bit something, and I thought, we have to be very careful because afterwards they say, oh, I know that already, and we don't want to hurt them with taking them back to their first previous marriage. But some of the stuff is very good to hear over and over and over.
Yes.
We might know it here. Sometimes we might know it here, but to put it in action is sometimes a little bit more difficult.
That's right.
And we just want to remind you, we all want to have a thriving marriage. And that's where
And this is what we're talking about today is, what are some of the things that we can do, practical things to keep our marriages, our relationships thriving, not just surviving.
Yes.
We want to thrive and grow in our relationship because, that's what it's all about. Marriage, like any living organism, needs to be growing, needs to be, changing incrementally day by day in order to adapt to the things that, or stresses that are coming on. And that, like I say, every day we face, all kinds of influences. Some are good, but most of them are, negative in this that, they draw us away from our primary, our priorities. And so we have to be intentional about the way that we approach our relationships.
Yeah, just the other day I wrote a little article to some couples, and I mentioned how we have to be intentional with everyday's little things, because we hear it says, if a pilot would get off track just 1%, we would not end up in
the right place.
In the right place, we would end up somewhere else.
That's right.
And then we listened to a podcast from Daniel Amen.
And Dr. Daniel Amen.
Yeah, where he was sharing, every day you should make a small
small
decision.
Habits. Right?
Habits.
It's a small habits that can help to determine the health of your life, and also of
the outcome of the day. Even
right.
Even if you make one small decision in the morning, it can direct your day.
Right.
How
you
it's
focus,
going.
where you put your focus.
Yes.
Right. And sure. And so, these are things that we need to kind of focus in on, and it really is. It's putting our focus on these positive things that we can do.
We can do.
For like Daniel Amen, he says today he wakes up and he tells himself, this is his ritual, this is a habit that he's created. Today is going to be a great day. That's his mantra. Today is going to be a great day, and he says, and it makes sense, right? Even though it sounds a little bit you know,
Yeah,
kind of
hokey.
hokey. Yeah. But, and you know, the thing is, if we can truly, you know, make that and adapt that into our lives, and make that a focus, you know, we gear our minds to look for those things. It's the, right? It's, again, you know, that old thing about, you know, whatever, like the, you know, if you buy a brand new silver Toyota, well, suddenly, all of a sudden, you see all these silver Toyotas on the road, right? Because you're geared towards, looking towards for that, right?
Especially when you're in the parking lot, you don't know where your car is, and you go, man, I see so many of the same cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what are some of the things that we can do? You know?
Yeah, I want to read one. Be willing to have your life complicated by the needs and struggles of others without impatience or anger.
Right.
Because so many little things come into our way, and it might make the life more complicated. We get a phone call and it takes us totally off track because now we have to do something else, or now we have to make a second or third phone call, and we get all uptight. But love is be willing to let your life, even if it's complicated, to be calm and say, I have to do it, and that's important now, so let me do it. And I tried it this week when we prepared for that. I was trying it this week with something which I postponed, and I thought, if I just get that done, it would only take me maybe 15 minutes, but if I get done, I could finally check off the list. And I was so glad I did.
Yeah. And you know, but the thing is, a lot of times, these things that come up, right, is the complications are not a part necessarily of, you know, just us or where we're at, but it comes through others. It can be a child, it can be our spouse, it can be someone at work, you know, a boss, whatever. And, you know, those things can throw us off and get us, you know, get us unbalanced. And that's, you know, it's adapting to those. And I think this speaks to being able, you know, being willing to have your life complicated, knowing, you know, this is going to happen sometimes. This is going to happen, period. You know, during the day, right?
Yeah.
It's just a part of life.
I was just thinking the traffic.
Right.
You know, they all of a sudden, the other day we were in Pearl City somewhere and wanted to go up the street there, and halfway up, they closed the street.
Yeah.
And we had to go down, but there was no sign that there was a detour, or there was no sign that it was
road
closed.
work was going on, and
and we could have. We were for a moment upset. Couldn't they at least on the bottom of the hill let you know that you can't go?
So you can go around, right? You could have taken another route.
It's the little things, and we said, well, let's go a different route now home.
Yeah. And it is, you know, it's having, you know, what we've learned through Simbas, through Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, right? The parents talk about this, you know, having control of our attitude, being able to adjust to those things which are beyond our control.
And I remember way back when, well, it's almost 40 years back, when we first started dating. And we had one of our first, it was way pre-marital counseling with our pastor in Maui. And I was so used, coming from Europe, I was so used to be on time. Because they had clocks all over. And, you know, if the train or the tram comes 2 minutes late, it will be announced on the overhead, you know, speaker, sorry, we will be 2 minutes late. Over here, 10, 15 minutes or whatever.
2 minutes late, you're right on time.
And Pastor Larry was telling me then, Elizabeth, I see this frustration every so often when you plan a meeting and the people come to your meeting late, that you get really, really frustrated. And I did. I was going to tell them off. We said at 7, why are you only showing up at 7:15? But like I usually say, you know, people are volunteers, so you can't fire them. And he said, this will be one of your downfall in your marriage unless you learn to adapt to Hawaiian time or to Hawaiian style of doing things. Well, I, over the years,
You've
got
done
married
well.
to you.
You've done well.
I adopted so well. I don't know
now
which one is
I'm
worse.
I'm dragging you out of the house. Come on,
Yeah,
you know.
but it has lowered my stress.
Yeah, sure.
Just knowing that other people noticed how frustrated I was. And during our marriage now, we say many times, thank you, Pastor Larry,
Yeah.
that you gave it to us, gave it to me straight.
Yeah, gave it both of us actually.
Yeah,
we both
had
to deal, yeah.
our areas where we had to work on.
But that's the thing is, you know, being willing. It's a self-sacrificial act, you know, of making a decision not to react to things that normally would, you know, cause us to get frustrated, get irritated, you know, fly off the handle, and really being able to, you know, like I said, being willing to get involved and allow our lives to be complicated by these things, especially in relation to others in our lives, especially when we talk about our spouse.
Yeah.
You know, things that happen, you know, there are things that are out of both our controls. We can't, you know, accidents happen, sicknesses happen, you know, things happen, you know, through others that we know that, you know, that impact both of us. And we have to learn to deal with it and not be reactive, you know, to accept those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's part of love, right?
That's love and commitment, you
Right.
know, not to stress out and point fingers.
Right. That's
you
the
know.
second thing, right?
Yes.
To resist those needless conflicts, you know, getting into those needless conflicts. You know, we have to, like, you know, a wise man says, you know, we have to learn to choose our battles.
Yes.
Really, is it worthwhile? Is, you know,
Sorry.
is the stress and the anger and the emotion and all this negative energy, is it worth really, you know,
The
stirring
fighting,
up?
Yes.
You know?
And I think we learned that about 15 years or more ago when we read the book from Daniel, Dr. Lehman. What's his name? First name?
Kevin Lehman.
Kevin Lehman.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he said, choose your battles, choose
Actually,
it widely. And he was making remarks in regards to kids and teenagers.
Right.
And because we had those constant fights, like most families do, you know. Did you make your bed? Did you brush your teeth? Did you do that? Did you get your stuff for school together? Did you this or whatever? But certain things are more important than others,
Right.
you know. And we didn't want to have our kids going to school all upset in the morning already. So we said, okay, we have to choose our battles.
Right.
And that really helped us to kind of weigh it out.
Yes.
Certain things you can live with.
Yeah.
And you excuse it for yourself sometimes.
Right.
But you might not excuse it for your spouse or for your kids.
Right. Yeah. And that's one of the things Dr. Lehman actually told us personally.
That's
he
right.
Spoke
That's
to
right.
us.
I forgot that part.
Yes,
Yes.
that he says, well, is your boy You know,
Does he drink?
Yeah, does he drink? Is he out, is he out getting into trouble with the police? Is he smoking? Is he into drugs?
And we said,
we're going,
no.
Does he cut out of school? No.
No. So you have it easy. You have it easy. Don't worry about it. You don't even have any battles.
He told
I
us,
remember that
just
now.
close the door in his bedroom.
Then
If
you
you
don't
don't
have
like
to look
the, you don't, if you don't like the mess in his room, just close the door.
Thank you, Dr. Lehman.
Yeah, and also, I think one of the things that I know for me is has been one of the hardest things to learn is, to be honest, lovingly honest, but also be humble and approachable when we are in times of misunderstanding or there's some conflict, when we have a disagreement, And I think it comes born out of a lot of guys, right? We want to be right. We want to conquer this, we want to fix things, so to speak, our way, because we figure our way is the right way. Well,
sometimes.
Many times, no, there's very few things that are, only one way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a matter of, okay, is it, like Dr. Phil says, right? Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy?
And sometimes both cannot happen at the same time.
That's
So,
right.
but
Sometimes it's just a matter of, okay, can we, just lose the attitude and, lose the, the need to be right, and, and just go and maybe try something different.
Yeah, a different way to go to the store, like today.
Mm-hmm.
We had a different time. I thought we should have taken the cutoff before, and I would have been right, by the way.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I did not. I really, really tried, and I think I did good till right now. That I didn't point it out 5 times that you
twice maybe, but
that you went way too far, and now we have to go several miles back. But I didn't make a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of proud of myself. And you said should be humble. I have to work on that. But, it didn't cause a problem.
Right.
I think 10 years ago,
It might
I
have.
would have said, why didn't you go there? Now we wasted 10 minutes just to go back and all that. If you just had listened to me and blah, 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 blah.
But you know what I would have said?
What did you?
That's 10 minutes that we're alone.
In the car. In the traffic. Okay, you win again. That's basically how our arguments are. And our daughter recently heard us in one of those arguments, and she said, I must say your arguments go by really fast. I said, yeah, one of us make a stupid remark and then we both laugh and that's it. Just like that. You just witnessed a real example that was not planned.
No.
That happened before we came to the studio.
Yeah. And again, it's getting back to the next point here, brings into that being more committed to unity and understanding than to being right or winning. We don't, again, would you rather be right or would you rather be happy, right? Dr. Phil, I love that. That's one of his mantras, and I think, and it really does, because I think probably 40% of arguments would be diffused, in all relationships, if we could kind of just grab onto that. Yeah, we don't need to be right all the time. Or if we do, then whose problem is it really?
Yeah.
You know,
It's not a life and death situation
yeah,
usually.
right. You
So,
know,
yeah.
it's maybe we need to look into ourselves and say, why am I so, so adamant in this about this? Maybe it's has nothing to do with the situation at hand. Maybe most likely it has something to do with the past and dealing with those past
Yes.
issues.
Something which reminds you on way back when.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get angry back there and here, which means some of that clutter from before is
It's
not
not.
quite
Yes,
taken
it's
care
not
of.
resolved. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You want to do the next?
Love is being a good student of one another.
Mm-hmm.
And we write each other sometimes letters. And then we ask afterwards more details about certain things, almost like a love letter. But we also put words of feelings inside, How do I really feel about this situation? Am I angry? Am I disappointed? Am I frustrated? They are close, those feelings are a little bit close sometimes. But when we really think about it, it's still a difference. Being hurt is different from just being frustrated or being angry or being disappointed. So we're using those words and then we explain it. The frustration is almost like when I just about caught the bus and the car drove by and I couldn't cross the street on time and the bus left. Or something,
Right, a
I
word
just make
picture
that
of
up, the
that
word
kind,
picture.
right.
And that really helped us in studying each other. Like even when we say, oh, I really like this and this, let's say this and this color in the dress. Okay, excuse us. The color is so much better in that shade maybe, but it's not necessarily for both of us. Both of us have a different taste. It's not a right from wrong. And then maybe we can explain it, or some little details.
Yeah, and the thing is, do we know? And this gets back to, understanding each other in deeper ways, right? And growing in our understanding, like, do we know, for example, what are those things that are, that are like triggers for our spouse, and where do those come from, Do we know our spouse's history enough, to understand where some of those reactions coming from and to be compassionate, you see? And this is a key thing, having compassion for one another, because it's growing in that understanding and compassion that will, that will keep our marriage, our relationship thriving, and not, stagnant. If we, continue to learn about each other, because we all, we're always changing.
Yes.
In this, and so our lives become, a kind of a, if you will, an experiment.
Yes. We had recently an experiment, and we asked those many questions. Like I say, we sometimes ask what seems to be silly questions. And we read that somewhere, what is your favorite smell or scent in life? And we said, so we cannot cheat, we write it down, not that we say, oh, mine too, or something, but so we wrote it down. And what did you say?
I think
Do you remember?
I think I put in, right, jazz?
Well, you said either jasmine, but you said actually your most favorite
Oh,
is
rice. I'm
rice.
sorry. Yeah,
Smelling
that's
the
right.
rice.
Smelling rice.
Smelling
is one of
rice
those.
is cooking.
Yeah, cooking rice.
Cooking rice.
Yeah.
And I thought, if it would have been food, what is your favorite food? I think I would have said the one food is rice. But on smell, I would never have known. So I'm married to Ken for 38 years. I never knew until last week that smelling rice is your most comfort.
It's a comfort, yeah.
Comfort.
It
You
is,
said
it
it
is
brings comfort from back
It's a
when you were
soothing- yeah,
when you
it's
were a
soothing,
child.
Right. It's like a childhood
dinner
memory.
time or
Right.
whatever.
Dinner time, and dinner time was always, you know, for me, and you know, a time to relax, a time to, you know, and safety, and you know, it bespeaks all of those things, right? So the the smell of cooking rice, you know, for me just evokes those feelings, right? So yeah, that's true. That was, and I think that was very surprising.
That was very surprising.
And what did you say?
What yours is?
No, what
mine is? Did I say the bread?
The bread.
The bread.
Same thing, right?
Same bread.
Because you grew up. Your father was a baker.
My father was a baker, and I love bread ever since.
Yes.
I did say the bread. Yeah. And so many little things, you know. We did that once before. What was your favorite teacher and why? You know, it's maybe we knew that this one person was, or this class was your favorite subject or so, but why was this teacher a special teacher in your life? And things like this to learn and be the student of each other. We hope that you tune in more often to Marriage on the Spot every second and fourth Tuesday evening at 8:30, and reruns on Thursday nights at 11 o'clock on Olelo 55. God bless you, and thank you for tuning in. Aloha.
Aloha.